So, the past couple weeks have been quite the emotional roller coaster. The past 18 hours, as I record this, has been quite an emotional roller coaster. Here's my take. When I was growing up, thanks to my grandfather, my judge, and my parents, I grew up with wrestling. I wasn't a fan of comic books or superheroes or this and that. I grew up on the WWE. Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior were my superheroes. I was a fan of theirs. Their characters on TV were entertaining and mesmerizing. As I grew up, Hulk Hogan was still an icon and a legend. The Ultimate Warrior, he lived his character. He was a warrior, and he was ultimate. He was supposed to be a little rambunctious. I also grew up around Chicagoland for a great portion of my life. And racism never really struck to me. I wouldn't say I had white privilege, but I grew up in an area where there was either good black people, which were hard to find, or gangs, like the Kings, the Popes, the 2 6s, the Latin Kings even. So I was always learned to avoid those areas. That way I don't get in the line of fire or trouble. When I was in high school, I grew up on the football team, the wrestling team, the baseball team for 2 years. And half, if not more than half, were black people. They would use words around me, and I took the safe way and didn't respond or didn't say any of those words back. I don't know if I was scared or if I was just doing what I thought was the right thing to do, but I earned their respect. But at the same time, I was technically not allowed to speak up, or I felt afraid to speak up. I grew up in a day and age where each race had a stereotype, or each culture had a stereotype. And I grew up around comedians like George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Will Smith, Chris Tucker. I grew up around movies like Friday and Blazing Saddles and Die Hard with a Vengeance, Beverly Hills Cop. I also grew up around a bunch of swear words. Swear words that can be considered offensive. But people never really judge or they don't act on being offended as much as one word. In the whole English dictionary, only one word is banned, especially for white people. Morgan Freeman once said, a way to get rid of racism is don't bring it up. But at the same time, can't we acknowledge the different tones in our skin, much like a Crayola box? I once learned from an elder gentleman who reminded me of Sanford and Son. He was dressed in his Goodwill Salvation Army suit, and he pointed to a guy down the street, and he pointed out there's a difference between insert word there and a black gentleman. He continued to say that he was a black gentleman, while the guy down the street was not. Since then, I always thought of that term is a comparable analogy to someone calling a white person white trash or trailer trash or hillbilly or redneck, which is ironic because Jeff Foxworthy made a whole career of redneck jokes. Fluffy made a whole skit about a gift basket. Dave Chappelle made skits about laughable stereotypes between white and black people. I grew up around athletes that were mostly black. Frank Thomas, Big Hurt, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Dennis Rodman, Karl Malone, all who I hung out with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan made a rant about his daughter's boyfriend. Most fathers are very judgmental towards their daughter's boyfriends. He said a word alluding to the possibility that he was a lower class person. And then later he said he doesn't want to be reincarnated. I took it as lower class. People want to be successful. People want to feel included. But people are very quick to judge. Which brings me on to the next thing. As a truck driver, I'm against sex trafficking. As a truck driver and a 37-year-old male, I have a healthy interest in adult entertainment. I am also not a lawyer, but reading public documents across the internet, Brock Lesnar is named as a possible participant. But it's also stated that he did not participate. It's been said that he is not a defendant and he is not being accused. He only has allegations. So with that, it comes across that he could be innocent. Also, it comes across that the accuser at one point consensually took money and or asked for money. And until that money stopped, then she started to accuse and started to sue. And most of the actions that took place, seemingly consensually, can be found in videos consensually on adult websites. And in the past 25 years, maybe more, we grew up with music that was very sexualized. Like Back That Ass Up, Big Pimpin', Laffy Taffy, Smack That. Even further, I'll Make Love to You. I Can Tell. Most recently, WAP by Cardi B, the female singer who had a theme song for SummerSlam. The SummerSlam where Brock Lesnar returned 2 years after passing the torch to Cody Rhodes. After John Cena passing the torch to Cody Rhodes. And as far as Triple H said, John Cena requested Brock Lesnar, as John Cena is playing all his old hits in his retirement tour this year. And Triple H said that him, WWE, and TKO will see what they can do. WWE is very known to have high-powered lawyers. They're very, despite what the IWC says, they're very public related. So if they didn't see any possibilities that Brock Lesnar could be in any more trouble, they would not have brought him back. The way it was presented, it was entertaining. And a lot of general, casual fans take things at face value. Not every fan is political. Not every fan worries about what happens behind the scenes. Not every fan cares what happens behind the scenes. They just like to be entertained. And finally, with WWE Unreal, for the people who are complaining, I'm quite sure you are the same people who grew up watching the movie Beyond the Mat, shoot interviews, podcasts, documentaries, and know all of the taboo behind the scenes words of the wrestling industry. So if you're going to stand there by knowing all that and being a smart fan, but say that WWE is killing the business, no. And if people either want realistically or keep kayfabe, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Seth Rollins, and quite possibly the WWE, worked the fans. They try to keep kayfabe. I do not point blame at any of them. I don't point blame at the dirt sheets. No, I do, but I don't. If anything, it's those smart fans I point to blame at. Overall, just enjoy the show. Let the professionals deal with anything behind the scenes. Let the lawyers take care of everything. And let people be people. Take care and enjoy the show. Move on.